Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. I want to start today, though, with the New Orleans Saints. And I want to start at a spot that is, quite frankly, about as important a camp storyline as you can point to. Look, we can talk about Mason Tipton and whether or not the Ivy League wide receiver who's little and fast can make the team, and we can talk about backup quarterback, and that's all well and good, and you can talk about contract. You can talk about a lot of different things and cultivate storylines in camp, as we do. It's our job to talk about it, and we will. But as far as like impactful storylines that will dictate how the Saints perform this year and perhaps in the near future of the organization, you would be hard-pressed to find a storyline more important than Trevor Penning at right tackle. And you know that. We've had the same discussion for 2 years. You know the story. The Saints take him. First round. Kind of a project. Smaller school. Great tools. Great frame. Comes in, gets hurt. Comes back late in the season, gets hurt. Comes back for his second year after not having an off season. Gets beaten out. He was out there to start the season at left tackle, and it went exceedingly poorly against Tennessee, and it didn't really get a lot better, and the Saints finally threw their hands up and went, we can't use this guy. And when you're in the situation the Saints are in, where your roster is old and expensive, there's only one panacea for that. It's young and cheap. And Trevor Penning right now is young and cheap, but he can't play. So if you want to sit here and suggest, well, he's had 2 years to prove it, and he hasn't, he's a bust. I can't disprove that. If you want to say, well, he got hurt his rookie year, so he didn't really have the opportunity to develop, and then he missed all of camp his second year, so that's not really fair, and or missed all of offseason his second season, so that's not really a fair assessment. This is his first chance to really ramp it up, and they're moving him over, so it should be beneficial to him. Well, that's the hopeful piece to this. But we don't know, and we won't know until they start playing some preseason games, and we'll find out how the Saints feel about him when they start things up with Carolina in the regular season. He's got 6 weeks to figure it out. So Penning spoke with the media yesterday, and they asked, like, how important is this year, year 3, for you?
Very important. Very important for sure. I mean, the first 2 years, it's not what I really wanted. So I want to go out there and show, what I can do, because I know I can. I just got to do it.
I talk about this all the time. Confidence is something that, generally speaking, is in spades at this level. Jeremy Hill sat 3 feet from me and talked about the fact that he reported to some Bengals teams that weren't very good when the season rolled around, but they thought they were going to win the Super Bowl in camp. And to get to that point, there's got to be a sense of self-belief. And I believe Trevor Penning when he says he wants to show what he can do, and I know I can do it. But there's also a piece to just any person, unless you're just delusional, that knows, like, I've been here for 2 years and haven't done it. It's possible that I can't. Like, that has to creep into your mind at some point if you're in this position. So the question was asked, like Trevor Penning, like, are you more confident this year, having been in the league for 2 years, having a healthy offseason, and now moving over to the right side of the offensive line?
I feel a lot more confident for sure. I feel like I'm not afraid to make really a mistake. I mean, obviously you don't want to make mistakes, but I feel like mistakes are kind of how you learn. And I think previous 2 years, I think I've been, it was hard to kind of making a mistake kind of bothered me, but now it's kind of like a learning moment. You can learn from it, flush it, and, use it and try never to make it again, but use it to learn and keep going.
Now, we know they've made the switch over to the right side, as I mentioned, and I can't pretend to sit here and tell you how difficult a move that is. I don't know. Matt, of course, had John Stinch come on, who became a franchise right tackle for New Orleans and was a starter on a Super Bowl team, and he said, like, it can be a real big hurdle to go from playing on the left side to playing on the right or vice versa. Like, that can be very difficult, but the move is being made so that Trevor Penning has a little bit less on his plate. left tackles are paid more handsomely and are tougher to come by than right tackles, but right tackles are vitally important to an offensive line. They're moving him to try to help him. So how does Trevor Penning feel that transition from left to right is going?
It's definitely an adjustment for sure, but from the moment I figured out I was switching to now, I definitely feel a lot more comfortable. I feel like even going to the left side now would be a little weird. It'd be kind of all backwards there. So, but it's been good so far. Just keep working every day and getting more comfortable with it.
He's got every tool, and what I'm clinging to here a little bit, and trust me, I'm not trying to be NFL scout, talent evaluator, roster builder, play caller here. I'm not. I'm just analyzing this from afar. You understand with his size and his physical presence that it would make sense if Trevor Penning was a better run blocker at this point than he was a pass blocker. He's big. That helps moving forward. He's strong. That helps moving forward. There's a lot more technique and finesse and quickness that goes into pass protecting. And perhaps the fact that the Saints should be a better running offense that's more committed to the run this year will be able to help him on the right side do the things he needs to do. The more often you can put him in run blocking situations, I would suggest would be the best for Trevor Penning. Now, yesterday was Monday. He talked about how he performed in practice prior to this media session, the first time the Saints had put the pads on.
I think it was okay. There's definitely, it's first day in pads. You got to kind of get used to, hitting people for real again. It's been since, January since we did that. But first day, I think it went fine. There's definitely some things I can clean up. As an offense, we can clean up as well. But overall, it's a good day. We can learn from it.
I think all the questions that were asked of Trevor Penning yesterday are reasonable. How important is this year? That's a question that needs to be asked. What about the switch over from left to right? That needs to be asked. What is your confidence level? That's a question that can get into the player's head and is a quality question to ask. I'm most intrigued by the open-ended nature of asking about Trevor Penning's goals for this year, because that, I think, really gives you an indication about what he feels and what he thinks each and every day going out there to practice. What is your goal as a player this year? And Trevor Penning spoke to that yesterday.
I want to do what I can, for this team to win. I want to be, a key contributor to that. I want to, play how I think I'm able to play and be, a dominant player, which I believe I can become. So that's kind of what I want to do. And, I'm going to use training camp to work to get to that.
And I thought if you really try to analyze that answer, that it gave you kind of an indication of where he is. That was not a decisive, assertive answer there in terms of a massive amount of confidence. I think if you were to ask Chris Olave, who was right there in that draft class, if you were to ask Chris Olave, what's your goal for this year? I want to be a Pro Bowler. I want to catch 1,500 yards worth of balls. I want to, be an All-Pro. I think Chris Olave could give you some really lofty goals. As a guy who's spent 2 years catching 1,000 yards worth of balls from different quarterbacks, comes from a big school in Ohio State, has been a headline type player for 5 years now. That's the headspace that Chris Olave would be in hypothetically if you were to give that answer. That answer to me that Trevor Penning gave was I want to help the team win, which is what you're supposed to say in these settings. And then it was I want to kind of show the player I think I can be, which is not to say I want to be the starting left tackle. I want to. There are more assertive things that Trevor Penning could have said there. I thought that answer spoke to a guy who's just trying to prove to himself he can do this, and that is completely natural. I'm not even being condescending or derogatory talking about Trevor Penning here. That's natural. This has not gone well for 2 years. He said that in the first clip we played. He knows that. We know that. The reporters know that. His family knows that. Everyone knows that. First-round picks that get benched in year 2 are rare. And that's where Trevor Penning is. It's caused a position switch. It would be delusional to come out and be brash and arrogant and cocky. I thought the answer was perfectly fine, but I do think it suggests he knows it's time to go. And I think this storyline in Saints camp is among the most impactful. Again, you can't find out much about what Trevor Penning is doing when they're in helmets and T-shirts. You got to throw the pads on, and you got to go to work, and you got to see some 11 on 11. And by most accounts from Saints camp, Trevor Penning has been doing an adequate job early on. We'll ask Matthew Parse about it coming up in the second hour about what he's seen. But for the most part, it sounds like things have gone okay. It's got to go better than okay, though, and they've got to find a way to get him to help this team because you've still got 3 years of control with this guy, 2 years plus of control of this guy, and you need to have him be a key cog to what you're doing. And if he's not, that's just a massive, massive miss and a blow to the construction of your roster in relation to the salary cap. It just is.
Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.